ESR works across a number of science domains, from public health to environmental science, which includes water purity and food safety, into radiation and forensic science. And the important thing is the overlap of these sciences to give us different types and different perspectives on new ideas that are coming out.
Genomics has played a huge role in Aotearoa, New Zealand in the COVID response. So we have been fortunate enough so far to have a small number of cases, and so the team at ESR have managed to, in recent times, sequence over 90% of the cases. So not only is it useful academically, but it's also actively used by all our contact tracers to work out who might have caught the virus from whom and really speed up the process and get us out of lockdown. The New Zealand population has really got behind the whole genome sequencing. The Prime Minister talks about SNPs at the 1 p.m. press conference, and people really understand that these variants have deep information that's really useful to solve a problem.
What is really interesting to see is that genomics is being used in a wide range of settings. It's about pathogens and in people, but it's also about food safety, about the human side of things. What we're trying to do is to really bring a more holistic approach. It's also about the safety of waterways, the environment that people are in. When it comes to human genomics, it's really important to recognize the rich culture and history our indigenous populations have around DNA, because for us it's a biological molecule, but for them it's so much more. It's about their environment, their history and their futures.
We've been working with the indigenous community for a number of years, and we're learning from that. And we've made mistakes in the past, but we look forward, and how we're doing that is we're including Maori scientists, not only getting advice from them, but employing them.
ESR can support Māori communities by getting closer to Māori communities, understanding their views, their worldview, and the way in which they would like to utilise the utility of our science capability. It is important that the science fraternity understand that working alongside Indigenous cultures and their knowledge sets is key in exploring knowledge at its highest level.
We are suffering from a lot of cancers, diabetes and other really bad illnesses, and we want to know if it's environmental or if it's our DNA. A big thing that we need to do is open the doors to iwi so they can hear for themselves what genome sequencing is all about, because a lot of it is quite scary for them.
If you're talking about human health, there's extraordinary benefit in working with Indigenous people. There are naturally some challenges, but the benefits are that you actually get to make a difference. And you get to make a difference not only in terms of health outcomes, but you get to make a difference in terms of empowering populations and groups and families and kindreds to understand what they're going through and to find solutions.
Researchers need to work in a way that protects people's health information, their privacy, confidentiality and intellectual property. To be able to develop relationships with the communities, I think, is very important, and perhaps that's something that didn't happen in the past. The risks are that our data is being exposed or being used by people without our knowledge and express approval. We want to be able to lead this for our people. We don't want to be just the subject and subject to other people's research.
I might be really interested in studying type 2 diabetes, but they might be much more interested in the fact that a particular cancer is killing them. And I think it's beholden on me to hear that and then empower them to be able to look at what they wish to look at, whether that's because I have the ability to do it myself with my team, or whether I happen to know somebody else who can enable them and empower them in that space.
Rake Ora is a partnership between Ngāti Porou Hauora and our partners, bringing together the qualities of scientists together with our community, which is largely Māori, and our own mātauranga, which is our own knowledge and whakapapa or genealogy, to create shared understanding, and we're able to work together towards building specific solutions for our unique population. Often medicine is normed on non-Māori, so it's great to be able to have something specific to our people.
We identified a set of Māori concepts that were important in the context of, thinking about genetic research. One of those concepts is whakapapa. It relates to genealogy, or your sort of ancestry. Sometimes it captures some of the familial aspects or the social elements that bring people together. We identified the questions that the community had and we put them down in the document so that they were there as a prompt both for the science community to think, okay, these are the things that we're going to have to respond to, or providing Māori community some questions which they can start exploring. How do we deal with the data, genomic data that's being generated? This is all a part of really the science culture to share that information. How can that be done in a way where it doesn't feel like it's being taken from the community, and that the community is still linked to that information, so that as other users find something interesting about it, they can connect back and have the discussions.
I'm really passionate about delivering science and education to the community, and so one of the ways that we're doing that is through our portable sequencing project. And so that's about pairing really disruptive sequencing technology with very low powered, low cost compute. So we can essentially create a very cheap device that can be run off batteries and solar panels, and it's just an awesome tool to be able to provide to community members, iwi, schools.
We've got one of the best teams in the world that has been involved in sequencing, and we want to take that to the next stage and apply it in other areas, because it's very, very important that we learn from this and apply that genomic knowledge to better science in New Zealand.
ESR is committed to support Aotearoa New Zealand in its journey to understand the strength, the uniqueness and the value of mātauranga Māori.